In today's biased news, Vietnam faces the biggest economic scandal in its history. Israel immediately resumes their genocide after the ceasefire. And Spotify starts another round of major layoffs. In a handful of Gaza updates, Israel's overall strategy, based on current troop movements, targeted areas, and reported advances, appears to be to divide Gaza into three sections: north, central, and south. At time of writing, Israeli forces appear to have isolated central Gaza from the other areas. Israel continues to offer warnings and evacuation orders via leaflets. The apartheid regime claims to be informing Palestinians to move to areas identified by occupation forces as safe zones for refugees. However, anyone who's been paying attention will recognize this is a ploy the IDF has used before. Prior to the week-long ceasefire, Israel forced a mass movement of Palestinians from the north to the south, while bombing the roads along the route, as well as the designated safe area itself. More rockets have been fired at Tel Aviv and Jerusalem by the resistance. At least one of the rockets was fired from the north, despite Israel's claim of having total control of the northern Gaza Strip. The occupation's Iron Dome is said to have been activated, though rockets have made it through the defense grid in recent weeks. It's unclear as of writing whether this latest salvo caused any damage to the intended targets. A US delegation is heading to Tel Aviv to discuss who will control Gaza after the war. The US will be issuing 5 no's. No forced displacement of Palestinians, no reoccupation, no blockade, no reduction of territory, and no use of Gaza as a base of terrorism. This marks a significant shift from the Biden administration's full-throated support of Israel's genocide against Palestine. However, the inclusion of the point about terrorism coming from Gaza gives them away. This is a gross misrepresentation of the resistance to brutal Israeli occupation. Additionally, these discussions explicitly exclude any representative from any Palestinian group, which should signal how little the US and Israel think of their captive population. Biden intends to criminalize the leadership of the Palestinian people in order to justify genocide. 60 Palestinians were arrested in violent raids in the West Bank. A Gaza Health Ministry official says hospitals are, quote, flooded with an influx of dead bodies, that 70% of the victims of Israeli airstrikes are women and children, and that Israeli forces are still detaining 35 medical personnel, including the Director General of Al-Shifa Hospital, under very harsh conditions, despite absolutely zero evidence Hamas used Al-Shifa for any operational purpose. More than 800 Palestinians have been killed since Saturday, with the death toll now over 16,000, and the injured surpassing 42,000. Spotify, the digital music service based in Stockholm, has announced plans to lay off approximately 1,500 employees, constituting a 17% reduction in total headcount. The move is aimed at what they are calling, quote, aligning the company with its future goals and reducing operational costs, which in non-capitalist terms means they no longer need the labor, and have chosen to purge a large chunk of their corporate family in order to make their business more profitable. Interestingly, despite occasional quarterly profits, Spotify has never achieved a full-year net profit. The new cost-cutting measures come after recent price hikes contributed to a rare €32 million profit in the third quarter. This marks the third round of layoffs in 2023, following previous cuts of 600 employees in January and an additional 200 in June. Spotify, like other tech companies, is adjusting its workforce amid economic uncertainties, market conditions, and automation. If you work in tech and there haven't been layoffs at your company, chances are extremely high they're coming, no matter how profitable the company you work for is. Vietnam is currently grappling with the most extensive corruption scandal in its history, a crisis that erupted with the arrest of a prominent real estate developer accused of embezzling a staggering €11.4 billion, or $12.4 billion, a full 3% of the country's GDP. The anti-corruption campaign initiated by Vietnam's governing Communist Party in 2016 has been robust, resulting in the removal of high-profile figures, including a national president and senior government ministers. The key figure in the scandal is Trong My Lan, the chairperson of VTP Holdings Group, who stands accused of embezzling funds from Saigon Commercial Bank, where she held a majority stake. The Ministry of Public Security alleges that over several years, My Lan operated an extensive network comprising over 1,000 domestic and foreign subsidiaries, as well as shell companies. These entities purportedly secured over €40 billion in loans from Saigon Commercial Bank, with approximately one-third of that amount being misappropriated through the creation of ghost companies involving My Lan, her family, and associates. This corruption revelation, implicating not only private entities but also high-ranking government officials, is arguably the most significant financial scandal in Southeast Asian history. For context, it surpasses the well-documented case in Malaysia during the 2010s, which led to a shift in political power. Vietnam has witnessed significant investigations into private companies in recent years, with notable arrests including the chairman of FLC Group and the chairman of Tan Hoang Minh Property Development Group. Despite the magnitude of the current corruption scandal, some analysts argue that it might not further deteriorate business confidence, as the business community has become somewhat accustomed to scrutiny from the Communist Party. The country's general secretary emphasizes the need to continue the fight against corruption for the long term, signaling a new normal in Vietnamese politics where combating corruption is seen as essential to upholding the party's legitimacy. And in positive news for the day, a landmark study in the UK has confirmed the effectiveness of a pill known as HIV pre-exposure prophylaxis, or PrEP, in preventing HIV infection. The drug, already used by thousands across the UK and proven successful in clinical trials, demonstrated its efficacy in real-world settings through a trial involving 24,000 participants across England. According to the UK Health Security Agency, PrEP reduces the risk of acquiring HIV by an incredible 86%. The findings demonstrate the importance of ensuring broad access to PrEP for those who can benefit from it, with HIV testing and PrEP currently available for free through sexual health services. That's all for today. We'll be back on Wednesday with more news. If you appreciate the work we're doing and you'd like to help support the channel, consider becoming a patron on Patreon. All patrons get early access to our analysis episodes, as well as an audio version of the news. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.